The Nightsisters were a clan of Dathomirian witches who were known for their dark side embedded magic. Although their unique and unnatural magical abilities set them apart and even above many other dark side aligned factions and organizations, what really made them special was how they mastered the dark side of the Force into their lifestyles and became one with it. The Nightsisters were not slaves to the dark side of the Force or corrupted by it like many other Darksiders tended to be. Instead, they merely used it as a tool to enhance themselves and each other. For example, the Sith, the most infamous and perhaps most powerful users of the dark side in the galaxy, were frequently said to have been slaves to the power they wielded. Sure, the Sith were able to exert the power of the dark side to great extent, but that always came at a cost. The dark side corrupted them and changed who they were over time. It made them cruel, sick, and addicted to more power to the point where they did anything to achieve more of it, even if it meant killing their own loved ones and going against every principle they used to hold dear and honor. Once fully consumed by the dark side, most Sith were completely different from who they were prior to their fall. Some fully committed to the dark side, and the Sith teachings acted as if the person before them never existed or was just a weaker, pitiful version of their current selves. But the Nightsisters were different. They were able to master the dark side in a way that allowed them to retain their individual freedom and remain the same person they were despite tapping into its power. This allowed them to genuinely care for each other as if they were a family without any temptation of betrayal or need to gain more and more power. This had partially to do with the fact that Nightsisters were born into and grew up surrounded by the dark side, that little by little they were exposed to it as children until finally they were allowed to fully dive into it. But before they could fully dive into its power, the Nightsisters had to undergo a trial which tested their will and control. The trial required them to subdue an ancient aquatic creature through the dark side without killing it, and to only bring a piece of its body back for a ritual. Those who failed and succumbed to the dark side were killed by this creature. Those who passed were made into official Nightsisters within the clan, and were taught the dark side magics from their elders. When Asajj Ventress was training Quinlan Vos in the dark side of the Force so that they both would have a better chance at defeating Dooku for their undercover assassination mission, she made sure to teach him the Nightsister version of it rather than the Sith's. Prior to doing so, she explained to the Jedi Master how he needed to learn to balance the dark side with himself. Do not let it consume and twist him like it did with most beings. Due to the limited amount of time that their assassination on Dooku allowed them, Ventress was only partially able to teach the Nightsisters version of the dark side to him. As a result, Quinlan was fully consumed by the dark side once he was captured and tortured by Dooku when their assassination on him failed. After finding out that he had succumbed to the dark side, Ventress became angered over herself and regretted not giving Quinlan more time to find balance with the dark side in order to prevent his fall. That it was her fault for allowing him to use the dark side without fully being taught to control its dangers and temptations. And she believed that he was lost forever too, as she herself barely managed to escape its grasp. To clarify, this isn't to say that the Nightsisters were more powerful in the dark side than the Sith. They're actually far from it. Most of their abilities were illusions rather than direct attacks that were wielded by traditional Force users. Only the most powerful of the Nightsisters were able to unlock the strongest darkside powers, like Force Lightning. But even then, their power wasn't nearly as destructive as the Sith's, as we witnessed the Master of the Nightsisters go up against the Master of the Sith through Mother Talzin's fight with Darth Sidious. They both unleashed Force Lightning at each other, but Sidious was able to overwhelm her quickly to where she was forced to divert her power to shield herself. Once the weakened Dooku joined in and began firing his Force Lightning at her, it was all over. Not even embracing Darth Maul's strength into her own would have saved her then. She was only able to hold off long enough to allow her son to escape before she was finally killed. And when she perished, Sidious mocked her existence as being a mere witch who dreamed of power that he possessed and that she did not. So it's safe to say that the Sith who were consumed by the dark side were far more powerful than the Nightsisters who were not consumed by it. If you were given the choice, would you rather be immensely powerful like the Sith, but be a slave to the very power you wield? Or would you rather be your own self and free, but only be able to partially tap into the dark side whenever needed? Let us know in the comments below. Thanks for watching this episode of The Lore Master. Be sure to subscribe for more Star Wars lore videos like these in the future. And may the Force be with you.